This podcast was produced by OAR Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to Far From Home, a student survival guide with OISA,
where we try to navigate student life together.
Welcome to our first episode. I'm Kavya and I'm your host for today. And I'm here with two executive members of OISA.
Yay!
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hello, I'm Nana. I'm a co-host of this show, and I'm a Welfare and Equity Officer of OISA executive members.
And I'm Irfan. I'm the co-president of the Otago International Students Association.
Lovely. And I'm Kavya, and I am the Mass Media and Communications Officer at OISA. And we'll just dig deep into what our roles are at OISA and what exactly we do.
Yeah.
So the listeners know why we are a part of OISA.
What we are.
Yeah, what we do, what we bring to the table. And do you want to start with you?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I take care of student well-being. And if international students have issues with anything, like with their friendship or relationship with like some people, I direct that student with issue to the right people and help their well-being and help them to enjoy their campus life.
So can students come to you if they're feeling stressed or just
or even like a little bit less motivated,
demotivated or just upset, stressed about academics.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yes. Thank you.
Right, so my role as co-president is to ensure the work of OISA continues and to support you guys in your roles. So not just supporting the haora or rather well-being of all international students, but also the haora of our execs.
Yep.
And OISA's role in the community in Otago as the student body responsible for international students is to work with the international office to support events, but not just that, also to be involved in advocacy, which is something people, tend to miss out. We are actually an advocacy organization, and that's why we're here today, because we want to get ourselves on the page, on the map of all the radio shows and all that advocacy so that people know what we are doing. So aside from the events that we very wonderfully do, we also plan a lot of advocacy and lobbying to various government organizations, which is also why I'm also the public relations officer of the New Zealand International Students Association. It allows me to be in a national level, but also be here. So I work with you guys, and we can see how things happen on the ground and also what we can bring to the table on a national level. So it's really a wonderful privilege.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's great that you have like local relationship with student, but also,
nationally.
Yeah, I think that's very important because people on the national level, I notice they tend to forget that they're planning policies, but actually it's going to affect people on the ground. So it's good to be there on the ground. So you get the bridge,
And I feel like it's also really overlooked because people don't realize how much goes into the planning, the laws, the rules that are made for students and I feel like it's so cool and so interesting.
It's cool on the outside, but sometimes when you sit down and look at the papers,
it's a lot.
They think, that's a lot. Yes, very true.
Right. And I'm the Mass Media and Communications Officer, and what my role is basically to handle all the communications on all the social media platforms for OISA and keep in touch with students, answer any questions that they may have about us, our association, what we do, what events we have, what we're coming up with, what we can do to help them. Basically, just keep in touch with students and constantly keep reminding them that we're here for them.
Yeah,
no matter what.
She does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And also the idea of the radio show.
Yeah.
It's your idea.
Well, the whole idea was just to get it on the table so people know we're here. People know we're available and the students know that they can come to us as a first point of contact without feeling intimidated because we're all students at the end of the day and we're all in the same boat and we know exactly how they feel, which helps us help them.
Definitely.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Great.
So on today's episode, I figured we could talk about how we as students came to Otago and our journey to get here, and eventually talk about why and how we became a part of OISA. So Dana, do you want to start?
Me?
Just
All right.
how and why you chose Otago and what drew you to Dunedin, why you chose to come here.
Well, the first journey to New Zealand for me was when I was probably 14, 15. And I just loved the nature and, the people and everything in New Zealand. I went to high school. Then when I get to choose university, I just wanted to experience something student-centered.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to study science, so... And yeah, that's kind of why I chose, Otago University. And yeah.
And if I'm not wrong, you did your high schooling here as well, didn't you?
Yes, so
Right.
I was in North Island, Katikati, little city, when I was in high school. And I had great time. I did writing, I did sailing, but also I wanted to experience the cold winter.
Right.
And I thought it's a great opportunity to come down here
Right, of
and
course.
start a new kind of life and make more of new friends.
Yeah.
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 Meet
Oh,
new
that's cool.
people.
So you've seen the North Island and the South Island now.
Yes. I love both of them.
You love
though.
both of them?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to pick one? Or is that a really tough question?
It is tough. But also, I'm a bit biased as I haven't really explored much of South Island. I would love to. I've been
Right.
to Queenstown once, but
Yeah. There's
Yeah,
so much
it's just-
more
Yeah, of course.
to see.
definitely.
Yeah.
So, so far, it's North Island. But
Damn it.
Yeah.
No worries, we'll make up for it.
Yeah, definitely. And because I wanted to meet new people and, make, grow as a person, I thought it's a great opportunity to join OISA to just get an opportunity to do something and make myself more comfortable to talk in front of people.
Right.
And and also I just love seeing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be involved
get
in
that.
the event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you do. Yeah. Anyways, that's my story.
That's nice.
And
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so for me, I still remember when I came to New Zealand, I was alone. So I came alone. My family didn't come with me. I was just 2 days out of my national service, so I completed my national service, got back home, started packing, because I only had 2 days left in Singapore, and then came here. So it was a bit of a rush. But when
my
I came
gosh.
here, I was in a residential college.
Yep.
I think most of us would,
Yep.
as international students. So I was in Hayward College, so that actually helped a lot. And being in Dunedin, I was told a lot about the cold, and also obviously like Nana, I like to experience the cold because in Singapore it's just absolutely warm.
Yep.
I think you would know that.
Yeah,
coming
Mumbai
from,
weather,
yeah,
we
Mumbai,
know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I came. I mean, I like the place, I like the culture, and obviously it's a very diverse community. I was drawn to Otago because it is one of the very small cities in Dunedin, but also one of the very few universities around the world that is student-centric.
Right.
So if you
Yes.
realize we are in a university which is in a city, and this is a student-run city.
Yeah.
And I have got friends who are in places like Auckland or even in the UK, and yes, their student population is very big, but they are not considered a student city because there's still tons of other people living in the community. So we are essentially in a student city. Everything is student run. It's a very young place, very
so
youthful,
right.
especially coming from Singapore where people are everyone's saying
Of all
like,
age groups.
you know, now not just all age group, but in Singapore it's like, oh, it's an aging population. So yeah, so it's very different over here. So I like the youth vibes over here. And coming into OISA, I joined as a residential officer in the previous exec. But the reason why I wanted to come into OISA was because I came to your university and came to realize that if I'm not doing anything with my time, I actually thought of coming here, just getting a degree and then going back home. But then I realized it's going to be a very mundane university career because university life is not all about the studies and all about the lectures and all that. And I've come to realize I'm a little bit bored about things like that.
Yeah.
So I told myself there must be a way to, contribute to the community. And I've been involved in volunteering already. I've been involved in volunteering when I'm back home in Singapore. So I thought, why not bring that here and, volunteer over here and see where I get to. So obviously being asked to serve in OISA, and after that I did, consult the outgoing exec and said, I'm planning to run for president, so should I do it? And I did it. Most of the things that I do in Dunedin is, apart from university studies, is volunteering, because I think that's a way to give back to the community.
It is.
And also there's a lot of opportunities.
There's so many.
Realize. So like I said at the start that I was also running a radio show. I don't know whether I say that, but I also run a radio show on OFM because I came to realize and I came to realize that from that radio show, OISA, and the other opportunities, there's actually a lot of opportunities here. And it's really for people to go out there, especially us international students, which is why it's good that we're having this show. So we can tell people there's a lot of opportunities for us to actually go out there and tell people,
and
look,
expand.
This is a student city. You are here. You might be here for 3 or 4 years, but there's a lot you can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so true. I feel like even with the radio show, I've come to realize that you're very rightly so. You said there's so many opportunities here. You just have to look.
That's true.
Yeah.
You just have to step out of your comfort zones, come out of your horizon.
Yeah.
And just, grab the opportunity, whether you like it, whether you end up not liking it, at least you've learned something from it.
Exactly.
I mean, when I was back in Singapore, I never expected to be like running my own radio show or even having a radio show in that regard. I mean, back home, it was just so densely populated and everyone was looking for... It was a very money-based thing everywhere.
Yeah.
So you want to do everything, it's all about money.
Yeah.
But over here, at least, since it's a student-led city, there's a lot of youth funding coming here. And we should take advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
And also, I know that for some people, it's hard to take opportunity. But then it'll be nice if someone who is listening to this radio would, get some
Just a little bit of
confidence.
motivation.
Yeah, motivation and confidence. Like just hearing our story.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, that's your sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the time.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, about me. Why I chose to come to Dunedin. I feel like as an international student, New Zealand as a whole just is ignored a lot.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's very, very underrated. And I'll admit, even when I was initially looking for colleges, I didn't even consider New Zealand. Because I was like, it's like, it's a small country somewhere in the world. I don't,
It's just beside Australia,
yeah,
so
it's
might as well
what
go
could
Australia.
it possibly be?
Yeah.
So I only looked at the UK, I looked at Australia, I looked at, US, and I was just, New Zealand never even came up, even when I was on the internet. And it's so underrated.
But how did you...
So what happened was my mom had a client, has a client that stays here, and her client just, gave her a nudge of, if Kavya's looking for colleges abroad, why not look at New Zealand? Like, just have a look. What if she ends up liking it? And my mom and her sisters and my grandparents had all been to New Zealand before on a holiday. So they had seen the country, they'd traveled here before. And they told me a lot about it and how much I would love it if I went there on a trip or something. And look where we are now.
Okay.
Wow.
So that one nudge from some stranger to me.
Yeah.
And I ended up, going on the internet immediately and looking up what New Zealand has to offer. And I was like, it has the university with the 5th most beautiful campus in the world. And, the city has the first, university in New Zealand. And I was just so drawn to Dunedin because it was a student city, like you mentioned. And I was just so interested and intrigued by the idea of being surrounded by people of just our age.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that said, my perspective living in Mumbai around people of all age groups and age ranges, and to now coming here in Dunedin, living with just people that are maybe plus minus 5 years of your age, my perspective on everything has changed so much, because you look at things in a different light when you're young than when you're around like older, wise and experienced
true.
people.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes it's nice to just be young and stupid and look at things look at things in like an amateur way, instead of always having to make the right decision at the right time. And you know.
Yeah.
So that's how I just ended up picking New Zealand at the end of the day. And my mom and dad were both very, very supportive of it. And, obviously Asian families, we love pulling each other's legs. And they were all like, oh, you're studying abroad, but you've picked like the furthest university in the furthest country you could have. And I'm like, yeah, well, not intentionally. And yeah, it is really far away. It is literally like 7 seas away from home. But I feel like it was a really, really good decision in retrospect.
Yeah.
And Otago has changed, quite like literally changed my life, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And like as you said, I also lived in halls in my first year, which really, really helped in getting used to the city and used to the people, the culture, the history. And because you're constantly surrounded by people your age.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
And it's easier to make friends. And you have sub-wardens looking after you. You have people supporting you in whatever you need. A to Z. I feel like anything you need, you could just ask and someone would be there to help you out. Whereas if you went straight into flatting in your first year, I feel like
You're on
all
your
of that
own.
would be much, much harder.
Yeah.
And that's why every time I meet someone, or every time someone asks me a question about coming to Otago, my number one kind of push to them is like, please live in a residence hall in your first year. It will help you immensely.
Yeah, especially as an international student.
more
yes.
than you realize. Because for domestic students, it's actually really easy because they come from like the same high schools and same friend groups,
Yeah.
and they just move into the same halls and already have an established set of friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas for us, it's really hard because everything's new and people are new, and it's really hard to make space for yourself. But you've got to realize that everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's just as nervous and everyone's just as scared. So, and it takes time to find your people. I feel like my first year in the
does.
hall, as good as it was, I had a really, really tough time making friends,
Okay.
even while being surrounded by people. So my second semester is where kind of like my social life picked up, where I kind of found my people, made some good friends,
Yeah.
found people that I could trust.
Okay.
And yeah, that's when life started to, kind of fall into place. So it takes time. You just have to trust and
Trust the system.
Trust the system,
Yeah,
just
Yeah.
give it time. And yeah. I believe, Nana, you also lived in a residence hall, did you
Yes, I was in Carrington.
Oh,
And I had
nice.
great time. I don't know, somehow, like, I feel like for that time, I kind of believed Disney because I met kind of right people immediately. Kind of for in the first day almost.
not? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah,
and
same.
I had,
You see, experiences are so different.
yes.
Yeah.
And that is really, it's different, but, we all, did our best and, had great time.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think living in the hall definitely offers you more opportunity to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I recommend that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Irfan, I also wanted to ask you about your second year in OISA.
Ah, yes.
How and why you decided to come back and step into presidency, and how you enjoyed your first year.
I really enjoyed my first year. Like Anana said, I met all the right people very quickly. So as soon as I came, actually.
You lucky guys.
It's interesting because when I shifted in, I remember I shifted in, I had a couple of bags up, so I
Yeah.
brought one and then I was going down to get another one. As soon as I was on my way up the second trip, I met a guy who was Indian who came from Christchurch. So we sort of
It
like
just
hit it
clicked
off,
immediately.
And you sort of meet people and you feel like you've already known them for some
Yeah,
time,
for
but you
years.
just met them.
Yeah.
So I hit it off with him, and yeah, we've been very good friends since then. So he supported me through. life here in New Zealand.
That's
great.
great.
And
Yeah.
interestingly, being someone from a Muslim background, I've got a lot of people who are all family members,
Yeah.
uncles, and senior people in the family who told my parents, your son's gonna go overseas. It's gonna be different, and all the fancy stories about people not being rooted to their culture. So I think it was good that I was friends with this guy because he's Indian himself. His parents came very regularly, maybe once every 2-3 months they came. And I remember they used to bring food and they used to bring double the amount because
that's
they
so
knew that I was also there.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
That tells you so much about our
That's
culture.
true. Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And also the culture of sharing among
Yeah.
in New Zealand. So my first year was really very relaxed. And that was actually life in residential college actually gave me a reason why I should probably go and be a subordinate because you speak about being a subordinate. I'm in the job. Because before I came to New Zealand, in my national service, I was an officer and I was responsible for recruits.
Right.
It was also pastoral care, but the pastoral care that they provide in as an officer or in national service is completely different from the pastoral care here because we do
Right.
discipline. It's
Right,
very
yeah.
rigorous. But when I came here and I lived in a residential college with my subby, I realized the subby was completely different
Yeah.
to my officers when I was back in service and when I was trained as an
Yeah.
officer in service because they were very open. You can just go and talk to them like
they
friends.
are so
You actually
friendly.
built a friendship with them. So, I mean, obviously as a subby, I must caution this before I get a disciplinary action when I get back. But subbies cannot be friends with residents. But, once you build that connection and once they are no longer a subordinate, you're no longer a subordinate or you're no longer the resident, you guys just bump into each other, you say hi, you talk. They're just like a friend to you.
Yeah, be social.
Yeah, and they're there to support you on a pastoral care perspective. They're not counselors, but they're there to understand you. And they're actually trained to tell you when you have a problem. I think
Right.
that was amazing. Because when I was in national service, if you had a problem, you rely on your bunkmates. You rely on your squad mates. But here, the subbies are trained. There's a pastoral code of conduct that we have to know by the time we complete training. And they actually train you to look at a resident, and if the resident has a problem, to be honest to the resident and tell the resident, you've got a problem, I'm going to help you sort that problem out and get you to the right person.
Right.
So life in a residential college was amazing in the sense that even though I had some bad days, difficult time last year as well, and the most difficult time, by the way, is when you are celebrating your birthday, you're the only child and you're here.
Oh
That was the
my
sad time.
God.
Yeah, so yeah.
Like, tell me about celebrating birthdays alone. My first birthday here was in, so my birthday is in March.
Okay.
And I had just come to uni in Feb and started semester 1. So I didn't have any friends. I didn't
That must
have...
be tough.
It
Yeah.
was so tough.
So just in your room.
And despite being in a hall, it was really, really hard because
Okay.
nobody knows your birthday, number one. And I feel like it's really weird to just go up to people and be like, oh, it's my birthday today.
Oh,
I feel
yeah,
like that's so
yeah.
weird.
But in
So-
Hayward, though, they actually had this billboard on
Yeah.
every floor that you put
Yeah.
in your birthdays. And my
You know what?
subordinate was
They
actually kind enough to actually come.
They
and-
started that after my birthday.
Oh,
So I was
God.
Oh,
like,
that's that must be.
When I came,
yeah.
as soon as I came, I saw the billboard and I quickly wrote my birthday down. And I thought it was nothing, I
Yeah.
thought it was nothing. My friend thought it was nothing. But it was interesting because the subby actually got a cake for me.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's
Yeah, it was
so
interesting. He got a
cool.
cake and everything. And everyone in the
That's
floor
so
who's
cool.
had their birthdays during semester time, they actually celebrated. So that was amazing. Yes, on your second question on why I decided to come back
Yeah.
to OISA. So
Yeah.
last year I felt I didn't really contribute much to OISA as residential rep. There was a lot of things last year was actually very slow, if you'd appreciate, compared to this year. So I told myself, I
Really?
said, yes, because we were having... So for the listeners who are not aware, we actually have regular meetings with OISA execs.
Right.
And last year, all the meetings were in person. And so there were people who were not able to come because of their work commitments and all. So I wanted to do something different because I'm someone who wants to get things done. And one of the reasons why I decided to come back to OISA was because I wanted to continue the good work of the execs that were leaving. Because I
Yeah.
was very close with Sean. You guys would know him. He
Yeah.
used to be the former OISA president. He used to be the events officer. And now I actually work under him as president. So a very nice working relationship at NZISA. So I wanted to continue the good work that he was doing. And I realized that being one of the, in our exec team, I'm the only one that stayed on And so I felt that to get that transition in so that you guys are able to come in and leave your own mark as well on OISA, I thought that I can be that source that will be there. And because I've already known how the administrative things works, that's why I decided to run again for OISA.
And it definitely helps to have someone who knows how OISA works.
That's true.
And you and Gabby. She was
Gabby
also,
came in after. Yeah.
For the listeners, Gabby is our treasurer for this year. And was
we'll
also
get her on
part
the
of
show
OISA
at
last
some
year.
point.
And at some point she will definitely be here on the show talking about her role. And I feel like that's so...
Yeah. And finally also it's leadership transition. This is one thing I learned in national service. You cannot just leave something and just leave the chat and forget about things, because we are told that before we leave service, there'll be a new person coming in. You got to train the person. You got to get the person in there. But at the same time, you don't want that person to be, doing everything to your whims and fancies. You want them to leave their mark as well. So I feel that my position as co-president, and I'm sure when Ibuki comes on the show, he'll have his opinions and maybe agree with me on this. I'm not sure. But I felt that as co-presidents, we are supposed to not just do what we intend to do, but also provide the opportunity for you guys to learn in your current position, so that, you guys can think about whether this is something that you guys want to take up next year and, step up. And that actually gets that continuity across. And one thing that we had, which was continuity, was the meet and greet, which we had. And it was a very good reception. Another one, which was like sort of a continuity from the previous times, were the exam packs, which we managed to do. And we increased the numbers thanks to Nana and all the others. So that was wonderful. And it may surprise you guys, but this avenue that we are in, this radio show, is also going to be one of the legacies of this OISA committee.
We don't know it now, but it will be.
Because when we go into the next few years, this will be one of the things that we can look back on and say, this is what we created and now it is continuing. So that's amazing. So to be that, I mean, as co-president, I see myself as that force that enables people to do things. And so it's definitely a wonderful thing to see that, OISA is actually doing much, much more
for sure
under Ibuki and myself.
Like even such small things, like you said, we increased the number of exam packs. We're doing a radio show where we've been, consistent with our meetings. We're constantly planning things for our listeners and all our international students on campus. I feel like these are little wins that deserve to be celebrated. Because we may not know it now, but it's still a big deal to, and it counts to how far OISA has come as an association, like you mentioned. Like, we're constantly expanding. We're constantly doing better every day. And I feel like that in itself is a big win.
Definitely.
Interestingly, Geraldi, who also is an international rep, he used to be the public relations officer. I took over from him. He was also like chatting with me the other day, and he was like, OISA is doing this. So it is surprising, but people actually follow and people actually see what we're doing. So while we prepare, while we run an organization, we need to know that our seniors are actually looking at us and they're saying, because they were once is the state of our
in
organization?
Our place.
That's true.
And it's really cool to see how far they've come, and we've come, and now we're in the spot where a couple years down the line we'll be looking down at OISA and being like, oh wow, that's what we created, that's what we did. And now there's a whole new group of people that's reaping the benefits of becoming part of OISA. And it's just so cool to think about. I feel like that's one of the reasons that I joined OISA, because I knew how much of an impact it made. And in my first year, I feel like I was just so everything was so new and I was a little bit lost. And OISA is really, like, all the events that we had, the people that I knew in OISA, I am really close to Tiara, who's the one that actually pushed me to join OISA. And she was like, Kavya, you'll do great as, the mass media and communications officer.
And you are.
And,
Yes, you are.
Thank you. And I feel like she's the reason why I even applied and showed up to the AGM and was like, nope, I'm going to apply and you're going to vote. And I'm going to try my hand at it. And that's one of the reasons, circling back to, grabbing the opportunity that was given to me. And we're all just trying to do our best every day.
Yeah.
And we hope that, all the international students and the listeners can appreciate and, acknowledge that. Yeah.
That's really
It's a little emotional as well because we're all students at the end of the day too. But when you're in such important roles, in such crucial organizations and associations, there's this little bit of an extra added pressure almost on you of constantly showing up and to your job and showing up to your role, matching the expectations of the people that came before you and the people that will come after you.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's that constant pressure.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. It's good because it kind of motivates you to work towards your goal.
Yeah.
But it could take a toll on you.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that is on top of your studying.
Yeah.
And
Because we're doing this on the side.
Oh, yes.
We also have academics to focus on. We also have our own stuff going on in our personal lives. And we still choose to kind of take time out for, OISA to continue to advocate, to continue to provide opportunities, to enable students to, just have the opportunity to be comfortable, be safe, and be able to meet more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Very true also, yeah.
Yeah. As the president, is there kind of an added pressure on you to even be, have it all figured out? Especially in front of the other exec members?
In other radio shows and other podcasts that I've done for people, I always say we shouldn't just look at ourselves. And I think this is what I should share with you guys as well since we're here. We shouldn't just look at ourselves just as a person who's running a role. We are all international student advocates. Right? So we are advocating for international students. Regardless of the role, we're part of OISA. We are actually making a difference. And as an international student advocate yourself, simply with that term, you have a lot of pressure. Because you need to be able to understand the circumstances that international students are facing.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age where everything is budget cuts and up the visas and all that. It is difficult. Students will come to you and students will tell you, look here, I've got this problem. And very recently, I had another issue as public relations officer where we had to handle a case in which someone who had received an offer to pursue a PhD ended up not doing it because of COVID, and it has been 4 years he's going through a back and forth to try and get a supervisor because you already got an offer, but you can't just cancel the offer just like that. So these are difficult challenges that you face, and it brings down to the hawara or mental well-being. There's 4 parts on hawara. There's physical, mental, psychological, and social. So the biggest challenge as an international student advocate is the social part of it, because you have to provide that positive front to people to say that you want to help them. But behind their back, when you are at home, and especially when you're alone or when you are allowed to let your guard down, you feel overwhelmed with things. So there's obviously a lot of challenges that you face, but I try to get grounded by ways that, like I said, there's a spiritual hawara. So that spiritual hawara for me is my religion. I pray 5 times a day. So that allows me to have a quick reset before I actually get back to it. And as an international student advocate, you realize that you will never be 100%. So
never.
Although people say, there are people who will say I can't do a certain job because I don't have 100% in the tank. I don't necessarily agree with that, because you would not have 100% in the tank in advocacy, because before I became president and before I did my volunteering roles in NZIC and all that, I thought I had a lot of things to do. I wanted to do this, that, everything. Once you get right smack into the job, then you realize
how much
that, we got to tap the brakes. There are things you can do and there are things you can't.
You've got to pick your battles.
Yes, you have to pick your battles. And so not just with people, but also with higher ups. I talked about lobbying. As an advocacy group, we have to lobby to the university. I think Ibuki is doing a very wonderful job with the lecture recordings, talking to the university leaders like Grant Robertson, our new vice chancellor, to try and get that numbers in. And obviously in my other responsibilities, lobbying to the government, lobbying to ministers who are hell-bent on cutting the budget for international students, getting them to understand why, we cannot allow a budget cut. And it pains me because you explain to them and then they'll explain something to you and say, okay, listen, Irfan, we understand, but there are things that we can't do. This is something that we can't achieve.
Yeah.
And so you need to understand it, absorb it. Although you don't agree, you have to go back to your circle of students that you're helping and be positive about it and say, look here, you have to play both the roles. So the fact that an advocate is playing both the role of student support but also lobbying itself takes a very huge toll,
I'm sure,
on all of us. Yeah.
And it's crazy to see how much, as the president and taking up 2 roles, even in NZ, ISA, there's so much on your plate, and there's so much that, the students don't even, they're not even aware of what's going on behind the scenes that's going to eventually help them in the future. And that our team is currently advocating and fighting for right now. Yeah. So that's really, really cool. And
I think it's all about the passion.
Yeah,
everyone asks me how you do it. I think if not for the passion, I wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely.
Because if you like something that you do,
you're
will
fight
work.
For it. Yeah.
There's a Malay saying, there's a Malay language saying that if you like something, if you have the passion for something, you will have 1,000 reasons to do it.
Yeah.
But if you just don't want to do it, you will have 1,000 excuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see that in advocacy. That's why you don't see an international student advocate or any advocate who's not passionate about something.
Yeah, because if you're not passionate, I don't think
they wouldn't
you're doing
want to
it
do
for the right reasons.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So your motivation is to help people.
Yes,
and
because I
with.
came here. I'm fortunate to have a very supportive family that was there to support me. But I'm aware that there are people who are not that fortunate. And I feel that there's a way to give back to the community. In my religion, in my culture, there's this thing called dharma or khidmat. And it actually means giving back to the community. And you don't do something because you want to do it, but you do something because it is your passion and it is your duty ordained to you to do it because you are fortunate, you are more capable than someone, is for you to help those people who are less fortunate. Less fortunate in this case is not helping someone with a lower socioeconomic background, but also people who come here, and like you said, people who come here who are lost, who are not very sure about things. I think we saw a lot of them yesterday at the international welcome, and it was great to 100%. Talk to all of them. Yeah.
That is very inspiring.
So what's your drive, Nana?
Well, my drive is to, I don't know, it's like what you've said is more like really solid, and you've got like, I don't know, like
this whole story behind it.
Story behind it.
And
I feel like I'm more like self-centered, I guess.
Okay.
But like, I'm doing it kind of for myself. But then, if I, get involved with people and get, help people, I get like, I'm happy because I like helping people. Yeah. But also I can like share that energy. And if I do something and get involved with people and get involved with things, I get some energy from it, and I get inspired. Like I am at the moment, like talking to you guys, and that keeps me going. Okay. And also, I'm hoping, like what I'm saying is keeping other people going, or what I'm doing is like. So it's more like, to me, it's for myself, but I'm hoping my action will help someone at some point.
I really, really relate to that because I'm quite the same. Honestly, I feel like helping other people that are in a situation that we once were in, and there were people to help us, but I feel like some things you just have to go through on your own, have to kind of figure out on your own.
Yeah.
I don't want people to feel like that. I want people to know that we are here, regardless of what the problem is. Small, big, minute, whatever it is, whether it's in a residential hall, whether it's private, whether it's their academics, whether it's their family, whatever it is, we're here to help.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would have loved to see more of that when I was in their place. And which is why I am really, really glad that OISA is expanding and is kind of more present almost. And people know us better now. People are aware
Yes.
of who we are and what we do. And I feel like that's the first step to just getting people to come to us.
Definitely.
Getting people to trust us, because we also have to prove ourselves. We can't just expect the students to come up to us and just trust us blindly. We have to prove ourselves
Yeah.
that we can live up to their expectations and help them. So that's a reason that I joined as well, because I love kind of seeing people happy and just resolved, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's
Where-
always good when you see that sometimes when people come to you, they've got a problem and you've managed
You're
to
able to
solve
solve
that
it.
problem.
That's
It's very
such a big
refreshing.
win.
Yeah.
It's
That's
very
such a big
refreshing.
win.
And in fact, in OISA, it's also the same, because people come here, people are very nervous.
Yeah.
And we have things like the meet and greet.
Yeah.
We have things like the upcoming multicultural ball. We have things like this as well. So people are saying things, and
Yeah.
people are making us, even though we don't know them, but
Yeah.
people are making us role models in the sense that
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, if they can do it, why not me? And that's why I
Absolutely.
chose to go into advocacy in the first place, because I saw people, my mentors, who were in there, they're doing it. It looks a lot from the outside. I'm sure people would think that you guys are doing a lot as well, but when
Yeah.
you guys, when they come into our positions, they will realize, actually, yes, it's a lot, but we like it and we enjoy it, so we
Yeah.
don't feel it.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Yeah.
like even as you said, OISA as a whole, or any association for that matter, any student body, I feel like looking at it from the audience perspective and looking at it from like the driver's seat
Yeah.
are such different views, because when you're actually in the seat, you realize how much work goes into it.
That's true.
For on the outside, it's like, oh, we had one event and we're doing this ball now, and we've been doing the exam packs, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But the behind the scenes of all of those events, that we know what went into it. We know how much we had, the coordination, the efforts, the hard work, the time management. There's so much that
the
goes
time
into
management
it.
is a big thing.
Yeah.
And I guess we are still like learning how to manage everything.
Yeah.
We are still student. We're still like trying to get everything together.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and I think it's like great opportunity.
Yeah, and it's
for
so
us
easy to
as well.
forget that this is our academics are the main focus,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's so easy to just lose track of that sometimes.
Yes. And also, it's interesting you should note, Nana, about the fact that you said we are a student organization. And I face this because in other work that I do, you are always under that constant pressure when you are applying for grants, when you are applying to lobby.
Yeah.
You're under that constant pressure to get everything right, to get everything professional and
yeah.
perfect, because we are applying to the ministry, for example. So they want things to be perfect. But actually, it's not like that. Actually, people there, they also realize that we are a students' association. It's an Otago International Students Association. They want us to learn in the process. So we're learning in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. To kind of like bookend the episode, since our main focus is just our introducing our association and introducing ourselves, are there any tips or anecdotes of how much you're enjoying OISA currently, and why you would kind of encourage people to join next year or just be a part of it in one way or another? Is there any like one thing that you'd like to say to our international students?
Nah, you first.
All right. So, me, I know, myself, I know it's so hard to like get out of comfort zone and get involved with stuff. But to me, just take like big breath and just take
Try it out.
Yeah, try it out, exactly. And take every opportunity possible. Then you'll probably won't regret. So if you're considering to join OISA executive member, you should definitely try and like join us next year. And yeah, it's hard. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot
yeah,
to do.
we're not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah. But it is also very satisfying to like get stuff done and get involved. And they're amazing people here, the members. And they're so motivated and inspiring, like you guys.
Thank you.
So yeah, I definitely recommend you to like come out of the comfort zone, join everything, and even like some little events, not from us, but like some
Just in
from,
general
like,
on
yeah,
campus.
and, like general all the clubs, cultural clubs or any other clubs. Just like do something, and they'll probably get you more like motivation and confidence. So yeah, that's from me.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've answered this question before in another episode, but never mind. I will say that when you come to New Zealand, it's going to be very daunting. Find your passion. There's no
so
rush to do it. There's no rush to do it, I should say. But once you find your passion, there will be opportunities you will realize that are actually aligned to your passion, because New Zealand is a country of opportunity. So find your passion, pair that to all the opportunities that are available, and you will find yourself a wonderful, rewarding experience, such as in OISA. OISA has done half the job for you because it's given you a reason to support a group of community members that you are actually going to be seeing yourself very familiar to them. You're also international students like them.
Yeah.
So OISA has given that opportunity. But again, if you have a passion, and this is interesting, but I've seen people who've done it and they've done it very well. If you have a passion and there's no opportunity, create the opportunity. There's no opportunity. If you have a passion but no opportunity, create the opportunity. Because this is a country of opportunity. They're going to give you the opportunity if you can do it. So that's what I'd say.
But that's true as well. Like sometimes we talked a lot about how there's so many opportunities present here, but sometimes you may not find one. And like you said, you have to create one for yourself. You have to make your place and kind of stand your ground. And
at the end of the day, you are the one who starts action.
Absolutely. You have to do things for yourself. You have to make sure you fulfill like your goals and your achievements and whatever it is that you want.
Yeah. What is your...
As for me, I'd say like one tip that I'd give international students is when people think of international students or study abroad, it is so romanticized.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
It's like,
definitely.
You're going to get to travel and it's going to be a whole new world and you're going to meet so many people. And while all of that is true, there's so much more to it. There is so much more to it. Like, Nana and I were having a conversation once and we were talking about our journeys. And I just told her that people usually, like in general in life, people go from rags to riches. As an international student, I think I went from riches to rags.
I see.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of things that you're going to have to do yourself, whether it be managing your finances, whether it be taking care of yourself when you're unwell, whether it be supporting yourself when you're, just alone by yourself. Because not always will you have people around you. And coming back to the whole romanticizing thing, I feel like being an international student is the one opportunity you get to completely recreate yourself.
Yes.
Because nobody here knows who you are.
Yes.
You can completely start from scratch, be whoever you want to be.
True.
Absolutely whoever you want to be. You can like whatever you want to like. You can
dislike whatever.
You can pick everything from the beginning. So it's like you kind of get to try your hand at being like an alter ego and alter personality, And I don't mean it in the bad way. I just mean that you have like a clean slate to start from. And that can be so refreshing sometimes. Because I remember back home, as many friends as I had in Mumbai, I wouldn't say I was an extrovert. I was...
Interesting.
I was quite
surprising.
an ambivert. Like when we went out, I would be like, completely socializing with people and everything. But I enjoy being in my shell a lot as well.
Okay.
But coming here, I've completely like flipped the switch.
Wow.
I have
Interesting.
put
That's
myself
good.
out there so much.
I mean-
every opportunity I get. And I've heard so much from people like, Kavya, like, oh my gosh, you're such an extrovert. How do you do this? How do you do that? And I have to go back, like take a step back and think in my mind, like this was not me. And but this is me now. And I feel like that is so cool. And I'm enjoying it so much.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be my one advice, is to try something that you wouldn't usually do.
Yeah.
And because you never know, you might end up liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just try your hand at becoming a new person if that's what you want, because you have that opportunity given
True.
to you.
Yeah.
And it's totally up to you as to how you build yourself up here, because you have to build contacts from scratch. You have to build friendships from scratch. You have to build relationships from scratch. You have to make, a mark for yourself from scratch. So it's a really, really good opportunity to just start fresh from the beginning. And I feel like some people love that and some people hate that.
I mean, it's a fresh start. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And like now that I have friends who see what I do online, they'll be like, wow, And when you see the wow, you're like, it's not always wow.
Exactly.
But anyways, you get the point. Yeah.
Exactly. Not everything is always, rainbows and sprinkles.
Yeah. But that word is so valid because it's coming from a person who tried and tried.
Yeah, it's come from experience.
Yeah, from experience.
Yeah.
It's a success story. I'd say.
Yeah.
100%.
I think you did
So
amazing.
Thank you. It's really, really sweet. So, yeah. Anything else that you'd like to end with? Nana?
Well, this is a great opportunity for me, and I'm like Kavya said, I am introvert too, and I'm still introvert coming here. But then, I want people to
You took the opportunity.
yeah, and I love it. I just love being in different environment, try different things. So you never know.
We love hearing that.
Yeah, what you love. Because at first I was so worried talking in front of people, and even this radio, I thought I'm never gonna come here and talk
We're proud of
as
you.
radio.
Yeah.
Thank
We're
you.
so proud of you.
Yeah, that's good.
No, as you guys can see, can hear, my English is not as good as other people. I feel like, and I was worried, but then it
worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. It's fine. Actually, I'm pretty comfortable talking.
I'm
front of
glad
you guys
OISA
and,
could push you
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
And we
So-
will push other people. So
Yeah,
if there's any
absolutely.
international student listening who's keen to come on the show and share their own stories, they should.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Just hit us
That's
up.
what
We would
I
love
was-
to have you
yeah.
on the show.
I was gonna say, even if you're not confident, even if you're not good at talking
Yeah.
about yourself, just freaking message, send a message to Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll help
And
you.
we'll help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you?
I'm good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We just wish you all the best to all our listeners. And we hope to see you in our next episode with a fresh set of executive members of OISA. And have a good rest of your day. We'll see you again soon. Thank you for listening to Far From Home, a student survival guide with Otago International Students Association.
We'll see you in our next episode. Find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and oar.org.nz.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.